Hello and welcome back to Cyberpunk Adventure Snatcher. When we last left off, well, apparently we're gonna have to do some history. So let's use the Jordan. I am Jordan. Search your card, use card, and slot it goes. Load fact file. Please select the category you wish to search. Well, let's learn about history. Whew. Gonna be a lot of stuff. Might make this its own separate video. The catastrophe. Catastrophe. On June 6, 1996, a mysterious explosion destroyed the Chernobyl research facility near Moscow, as opposed to, Chernobyl. The explosion released a biological weapon called Lucifer Alpha, which had been underdeveloped by the old Soviet regime, into the atmosphere, creating the greatest biohazard in history. Within 1 week, the bacteria spread throughout Eastern Europe and Eurasia, killing 80% of the population there. 6 months later, Lucifer Alpha suddenly mutated into a non-lethal form. Northern Eurasia, now an unpopulated wasteland, was designated and remains a United Nations neutral zone to prevent unauthorized exploitation. That would honestly make sense for the bioweapon to become kind of inert, because if it killed 80% of all the people that it infected, the only people left still alive to spread the infection were either A, immune, or B, variants of the virus or bacteria. I think it's bacteria because it said biological, that would not kill its host, because the problem about killing a host is it means you don't get to spread and reproduce all that much. Since the disaster, which has become known simply as the catastrophe, the incident, hundreds of research papers have been published purporting to reveal its causes, but the real reason behind it remains unknown. Okay, concerning Junkers. Oh boy. Okay. World War III then. World War III, 2010 to 2011. On August 8th, 2010, 14 years after the catastrophe, war broke out over the possession of northern Eurasia, left uninhabited by the disaster. Conservative Soviet leaders who managed to survive the catastrophe received military support from China and launched an invasion of the region. Nevertheless, Western economic sanctions forced the Chinese to withdraw this support, leading victory for the Western forces, and people to die from not eating. Ending in just 6 months after it began, this conflict has become known as the Half-Year War. Yeah. Would be nice, instead of, our current approach to wars. But yeah, you guys all remember World War III happening in, 2010, right? Yeah, it's just 11 years ago. Siberian Neutral Zone. Siberian Neutral Zone. Left uninhabited by catastrophe. The United Nations controlled the bulk of the Siberian territory for the past 50 years, prohibiting any outside interference. After effects of Lucifer Alpha contamination are expected to prevent any plant or animal life from flourishing there for the next 50 years. In order to prevent reoccurrence of something like World War III, the United Nations set up extensive monitoring stations on the borders of the region. Interesting. Nuclear elimination. Elimination of nuclear weapons, beginning with the INF, Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty in 1987, strategic and theater nuclear weapons were steadily reduced. threat of nuclear war was further reduced by the IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, implementation of its military-use nuclear material manufacturing cessation accord, which enforced the disposal of all military-use nuclear materials at the beginning of this century. Yeah, would have been nice, but no. Witch hunt, aka bioroid hunts, a social phenomenon caused by the Snatcher problem, a form of group violence involving the lynching of numerous innocent individuals who were believed to be bioroid snatchers. In reality, in general, individuals of lower social standings were the target of such attacks, named after medieval witch hunts which took place in the Salem, Massachusetts, USA during the similarity of the two occurrences. The phenomenon underscored the north-south rift of modern society, forming a revulsion at the growing poverty problem. Well-to-do groups from the north attacked the slum dwellers in the southern region, resulting in great loss of life to individuals who had no connection to the Snatcher menace. The problem died out when it became clear that Snatchers only targeted individuals of high societal standing. Ha-ha! Okay, that's all of that. Concerning Junkers. Yep, it's gonna be a while. Oh god. Junker, full organizational name. Japanese Undercover Neurokinetic Elimination Rangers. Chronology. Junker Agency History, April 2047. National Police Agency formed a special team to deal with Snatcher problem. May 2047. Government Intelligence Agencies established investigation science team to research Snatcher activities and devise solutions. August 2047. Police and government organizations are formally combined into a new agency called Junker. This organization is overseen by the government intelligence agencies. Great. Junker agency organization, staff classification, chief or head, engineer, operator, runner, investigator, and navigator, support robot. Related groups, Junk Team, engineer is responsible for development and maintenance of all Junker support equipment. Operator is responsible for management of data transmitted from the field by navigators, as well as day-to-day operations of HQ facilities. Chief is in charge of judgment of overall situation and assignments duties to runners. Runners responsible for carrying out the actual investigation of Snatcher activities with the assistance of navigator robots. This post is exceptionally dangerous. Junk Team is responsible for cleanup and data gathering at sites where runners have been dispatched by Snatchers. Okay, staff. Junker staff as of December 2047. Benson Cunningham, Chief. Harry Benson, Engineer. Mia Slayton, Operator. Gillian Seed, Runner, newly assigned. Louis Gilmore, Runner, killed in action. Sergio Grazio, Runner, killed in action. David Johnson, Runner, retired. Schultz Dakar, Runner, killed in action. Jean-Jacques Gibson, Runner, killed in action. Well, so much for that. Concerning Snatchers. Insectors, spider-shaped probe security robots used by Snatchers. Thread-like sensor apparatus deployed from rear of robot triggers needle gun attacks if touched or approached. Microjet powered, known to jump. Length 30 centimeters. Weight 500 grams. Specimen recovered for study by Junk Team invariably self-destructs, preventing further analysis. Yeah, figured so. Distinguishing features. Snatcher characteristics. 1. Snatchers operate almost exclusively at night and during the winter months. 2. Snatchers only snatch VIPs. Their ultimate goal appears not to be the snatch itself, but some secondary effect of it. 3. Snatchers are restricted by their physical size. While they can adjust the size of major body areas, these adjustments are limited. As such, their victims are exclusively persons of 150 to 180 centimeters in height. This makes snatching up children, the elderly, etc. impossible. 4. Snatcher weapons, a mouth-firing laser cannon. 5. Weak point, thin, slit portions of their skull armor which make head size adjustment possible. Okay. Chronology. Snatcher history, December 2nd, 2044. First contact. Bioroid's remains are recovered from the wreckage of SRS Flight 4003, which crashed in the Roko Mountain range. February 18, 2045. Snatcher, which had killed and replaced Snatch, the mayor of Neo-Kobe, B. O'Connor, is captured but self-destruct during transport. In December, Neo-Kobe is thrown into a panic over the problem. The witch hunts take place and the people try to uncover and destroy imagined Snatchers. November 3rd, 2047. A well-known KBC newscaster is revealed to be a Snatcher and terminated, remains self-destruct, preventing further analysis. November 15th, 2047. Leader of a prominent revolutionary religious group is determined to be a Snatcher. During pursuit, the Snatcher car crashes, destroying it in the resulting fire. November 20th, 2047. The former president of a biotechnology firm is uncovered as a Snatcher and terminated. During transport, the remains are stolen. Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter program. In order to elicit civilian support in the effort to combat Snatchers, the government insisted the following rewards program. All eligible voters of Neo-Kobe were given the right to register as bounty hunters. Registration involves a few simple tests and procures firearm license, psychological profile, junker test, etc. Actual rewards for Snatcher termination depend on individual circumstances. Government also provides numerous insurance benefits for those injured or killed while attempting to terminate a Snatcher. Well, might be useful. Oh, I don't know. I think Japan has socialized medicine. Concerning Neo-Kobe data. Neo-Kobe city statistics. Total population 5.83 million people. I'm not sure, but that would be huge. I mean, I guess it's a city now. But I think Kobe at our moment is kind of, it's not a backwards place, but, you know, it's not like Tokyo. Ethnic groups. Japanese, only 30%. Chinese, 24%. American, 10%. Western European, 5%. Eastern European, 11%. Hispanic, 5%. Jewish, 5%. Philippine, 3%. Other, 7%. Unregistered population, 1.2 million. Total area, undetermined. You would be able to determine the area of your own city because it's declared. Also, pretty high undocumented population. This is either a very progressive game or it's, you know, Hideo Kojima saying, what's wrong in our nation? Actually, I think it's more the former. Kojima does seem to be somewhat progressive at times. Neo-Kobe history. Development of the city. Construction to link major man-made islands to the inland sea began near the end of the 20th century. Oh, this is a man-made island. Okay. Plan to link to 5 major blocks into one large metropolis, Neo-Kobe, was promoted in early 21st century. Plan is completed 10 years later in conjunction with Kobe Expo. The city launched as a major new hub for Asia and experiences heavy immigration. By 2049, city becomes known as Neo-Crowbar due to its infamy as a city with the world's highest crime rate. Okay, well, maybe not that progressive. Kobe Bridge. Kobe Bridge, complete quarantine of Neo-Kobe, is launched on December 1st, 2047 as the method of preventing the spread of the Snatcher menace. All land, sea, and air links to the city except for Kobe Bridge are cut and patrolled by military. Passage over Kobe Bridge requires a government-issued pass and numerous thorough checks. Except Snatchers are not just in Neo-Kobe. Alpha 1. The mother computer system which unifies overseas administration of Neo-Kobe, developed by a sophisticated networking of hundreds of separate systems in the city. high-speed neurocomputer capable of mimicking human thoughts and reasoning patterns. Maintains extensive files on all individuals, corporations, and groups within the city. Also manages the day-to-day operation of the city's financial distributions and transportation systems. Alpha 1 program maintained is coordinated by Konami Software's Project Development Division Subgroup 48. Video phone number is 301234. I'll probably need that information. Okay, Snow 9. Crystalline form of pollen created using genetic manipulation techniques. Developed for military use, it disrupts nearly all radio transmission. It's poisonous to humans. In large quantities, it can cause symptoms similar to respiratory arrest, while even small quantities cause allergy-like symptoms such as sneezing and runny nose. We experience that. Larger than ordinary pollen, crystals are invisible to the naked eye and appear similar to snow, hence the name. Crystals are visible to the naked eye. Pollen creates environmental problems as well, and vegetation producing it was destroyed in large quantities after the war to avoid them. Nevertheless, its reemergence in tropical regions, as well as those subtropical regions where water supplies are plentiful, such as near rivers. At present, the only known area affected is in Nyokobi, is in the vicinity of Ina River, as the pollen appeared in Nyokobi only after the first presence of Snatchers was confirmed. Relationship between the two is currently under careful investigation. Right. Stibo. Mysterious disease which originated in France around 2039. The first patient in Nyokobi was recorded in the summer of 2040. At present, between 50,000 and 100,000 residents of Nyokobi are believed to be infected. STBO victims develop fever, joint and muscle pain, diarrhea, lymph node inflammation, tremors, and pneumonia, with over 60% dying from the disease. Transmission is via bodily fluids such as blood, saliva, and semen, and generally spread by sexual contacts or hypodermic needles. Particularly when unsterilized ones are used for the injection of illegal drugs. Similar to the disease AIDS, which emerged some 55 years ago, led research to believe that at one time STBO was a mutated form of the AIDS virus, but the two have since been shown to be unrelated. There is still no treatment or cure. Public discomfort about the disease and concerns whether others close to them are carriers have noticeably increased during the level of suspicion in the general population, and significantly harmed interpersonal communication. In many ways, this trend has made detection of Snatchers more difficult. Not great. Liquid Sky. Recently developed a new type of hallucinogen derived from alkaloids. The usage via injection either under the skin or directly into a vein. The drug directly stimulates the user's nervous and limbic system, creating a strong sense of excitement as well as hallucinations. Additional effects include lowering the user's sensitivity to feelings of worry, doubt, or fear. The drug soared in popularity among young people during the late 2040s. Regular use causes changes in the brain tissue synapses, which can result in impaired nervous function if use is prolonged. Great. Black market. The underground market in Nyokobi. Vast numbers of products, both legal and illegal, are available at cut-rate prices. Chinese immigration with excellent business and marketing skills contributed greatly to market growth during its early years. Yeah, there we go. Some experts believe that its size now exceeds that of the regular marketplace. The market is mainly served to meet the needs of immigrants from the mainlands and illegal aliens, but the wide variety of merchandise and low prices now attract many regular customers from the general population, severely hurting the businesses of traditional merchants. The largest organization in Nyokobi in the market is so-called Plato's Caravan area. That's it for that one. Okay, we've got 3 more sections. Tube liner. Linear motor train utilizing the superconductive magnets for propulsion. The system was the backbone of transport in Nyokobi for 30 years after the war, but was scrapped during the spread of slums in the south, and the introduction of automatic traffic controls via central computer. Oh, north-south divide was probably north-south divide of Japan. That makes sense. I mean, If I recall right, most of the larger cities are in the southern part of Japan. I could be completely wrong, though. Scrapped in the slums in the south and the introduction of automatic traffic control via central computer. The original plan was for trains to travel in near vacuum tunnels to reduce the resistance to almost zero. The high costs and the weak foundations of the reclaimed land in the city prevented realization. The abandoned tunnels of the system still exist. Demolition efforts have been hampered by property ownership disputes and the weak foundations. So people were like being thrown around like those pneumatic tubes that you see at, like, you know, banks or pharmacies that they never seem to be running. I'm always disappointed. Automatic traffic system. A system which maintains the entire transportation network of Neo Kobe, including land, air, and water routes, via direct computer control of traffic flow by the Alpha 1 mother computer system. In particular, the system's ASV, automatic safe vehicle routines, work to prevent traffic accidents and congestion. They have boosted the efficiency of ground transport, in particular, to levels not dreamed of in the 20th century. The system has eliminated the need for public transportation. Well, as long as everyone can get to where they need with minimal costs, that's a good thing. Problem is public transportation typically is more efficient as far as, you know, pollutants go. Maybe they've solved that too. A term referring to illegal manned taxis, the word taxi usually refers to government-operated, computer-controlled unmanned vehicles. However, such taxis, requiring personal identification aboard, only operate in areas designed as municipal data administration districts. They generate records of where customers board and get out, thus making their use impossible or impractical for many immigrants and illegal aliens. On the other hand, black taxis require no identification and will go anywhere, making them extremely popular. As such, government officials have decided that the black taxis, though illegal, have formed such a sophisticated organization throughout the city that they cannot be ignored any longer, and plans are being studied which would legalize their operation. Interesting. And that's it. Culture science. Ooh. Good, only 2. Damn it! Space development. Plans were made in the late 20th centuries to develop space resources for the betterment of mankind. But global warming, the catastrophe, and other factors which harm the environment speeded this trend significantly. Yeah, we're still, like, looking to space without wanting to save, you know, us. The construct of the U.S. space station Freedom, as well as the development of successful fusion-based propulsion, represent enormous steps forward in effort. At present, a helium-3 mine to provide fuel for fusion rockets is under development on the moon. Yeah, helium-3 is found on the moon. Good research. In addition, the new Promised Land project creates permanent colonies on Mars in advanced stages. Hideo Kojima already predicted Elon Musk. All the terribleness. Mars Research Chronology. Mars Research Chronology, August 1988, the Phobos Project. Phobos 1 and 2, launched by the former Soviet Union, explored Mars and its 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos. October 1989, Mars Observer, launched by the U.S., studied the planet's atmosphere and soil. April 1997, PESTA Project. Unmanned probes retrieves data on Mars, asteroids, and comets. Project initiated by Eastern European nations, but the catastrophe forces transferred the project to the U.S. December 2005. Construction begins on the Wells Project, an unmanned robot production facility on Mars. June 2010. First satellite put in permanent Martian orbit. Would have been nice. July 2015. Construction begins on experimental man-based Le Guin. Ursula Le Guin gets her own manned base on Mars. Good for her. November 2022. Construction begins on Mars spaceport Moorcock. Moorcock. June 2025. Completion of early manned base Herbert. So, are you saying Le Guin is more like, progressive and welcoming to a diverse amount of people, and Herbert is, not? Sci-fi humor. December 2030. First full-scale Martian base. Vonnegut. That's the name. Kirk Vonnegut. Begins operation. January 2035. Operations begin at Asimov, the first mine on Mars. Wouldn't you have made Asimov the place that built robots? Because it's Isaac freaking Asimov? Whatever. Mars Greening Project. Martian Greening Project, a project to turn the barren planet into a lush green world like Earth. Initially, large reflecting mirrors would be placed in orbit to reflect heat radiation back down to the planet. Simultaneously, greenhouse gases would be released into the Martian atmosphere. By warming the planet, conditions would allow yeast and other bacteria to flourish are established. Following this, oxygen given off by these bacteria would be employed to make conditions favorable for higher forms of life. All well and good. The problem with Mars is that it's not dense enough. The oxygen would just kind of float away from the planet. Carbon dioxide works. Oxygen in the way that we breathe, not so much. The vast underground deposits of frozen water, this existence, the existence of which was discovered by earlier bases on the planet, have moved the project from the realm of fantasy into a likely reality. At present, phrases like "turn the red planet green" and "Mars, the new promised land" represent the energy of those involved putting it into the project. Phase 1 of the project, the installation of reflecting mirrors around the planet, is currently scheduled around 2049. Rocket carrying the first immigration investigative team to Mars, the Beagle Jerusalem, was launched just last week. Biocommunication. Communication without language by mechanically detecting and encoding the organic responses of chemical and other products given off by living organisms. The technique is hoped to provide a way for humans to communicate with other species someday. The logistical obstacles have limited to scientists' one-way observation at this point. PPET scans of the brains of vertebrates using these techniques have led science to a near full understanding of the structure of these animals' consciousness. Interesting. Dreamcorder, a device for recording human dreams. Pickup of brainwaves allow for playback, which recreates distinct sights, sounds, and physical sensation. However, regulations prohibit playback by others than a licensed counselor or psychologist. Recordings are not legally admissible as evidence in a court of law. Yeah, that would make sense, because people dream. Turn to menu. Culture and science. Is that all of that? Yeah. I just bring up the same thing over and over again. Culture and sports. This one's relatively short. Biozoo. Museum of Living Genes featured live animals, endangered or extinct only, recreated through genetic manipulation, created by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, UCAN, in order to recreate and culture extinct mammals and bird species. Besides caring for living animals, the museum operates a library of frozen genetic samples. Successful birth of a unicorn in 47, natural delivery, drew widespread attention. The baby unicorn has also been adopted as Neo Kobe's mascot. Great! Robo-musical. Musical performed by humanoid robots. As each robot's expression and movements are sampled from actual actors, there's virtually no difference between their performances and that of live actors. Popularity of this art form no doubt lies in the technology's ability to change the performance with a simple software modification, including the ability to inject long-dead classical actors into modern roles. Big hit of 47 has so far been The Phantom of the Opera. Well, we no longer need robots to do that. CG is getting better. Although, not entirely. Purse pets. Genetically engineered marsupials which function as pets or handbags. Their added value to be able to carry around personal belongings led to a huge boom in these animals in the early 2040s. Originally designed for a television commercial, their subsequent widespread media exposure touched off huge sales. Several firms have become involved in a copyright dispute over the animal's design, but their popularity waned when Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals complained of the slave-like treatment many owners gave their living luggage. Yeah, I'm not I'm not against people owning pets and stuff like that, but yeah, having a pet that doubles as an accessory? It's a little effed up. Kobe pizza. A popular food has said to have been born by the accident when a Japanese student accidentally dropped his pizza in someone's soup. The floating shape apparently reminded him of the island of Kobe in the sea, hence the name. Scores of different varieties are available by combining different toppings and soups. Kobe pizza is beginning to gain popularity internationally as well. I don't think I would want to eat soaked pizza. Retinal fortune telling. A high-tech form of divination which purports to read a person's future from the pattern of blood vessels on the retina of the eye. Like fingerprints and voice prints, this art has gained its popularity from the fact that all individual patterns are unique. Yeah, those are just people trying to scam you, and not just to take your money to get you read, but to have, your retinal scan. Air surfing. A sport which is enjoying tremendous recent popularity among young people. When conventional surfing became impossible due to heavy contamination of the sea around the city, a local university's air science department developed a new board and wave generator. With just moderate protective gear, a board and the airwave generator, anyone can enjoy the sport. Popularity has been centered among young people of the slum districts, as winds and weather have no effect on use. Competitions and tournaments have been held year-round in cities throughout the country. Interesting. Dragon horse. Sport involving use of winged horse developed through bioengineering. Originally popular among the British upper class, participants compete for the longest time and distance flown. Okay. That's not too horrible. These dragon horses are only capable of 50 meters or so continuous flight. First official competition took place in Kobe in 2045. The winner, an extrant invited from overseas, Iraqian Highlander breed, managed a 30-second flight covering 80 meters. Interesting. Finally, politics. Please tell us this is it. City isolation policy. Kobe quarantined the government, fearing mainland Snatcher infiltration from Kobe, designated the city a contamination zone and ordered the closure of all land, sea, and air links, including the Kobe Bridge. The policy was enacted on December 1st, 2047. While the policy appears to have so far prevented any spread of the problem to the mainland, it has exacerbated the isolation of the city itself, without contributing a comprehensive solution to the Snatcher menace. Okay. Or South problem. Since 2025, declaration of Kobe as an immigrant's paradise, a vast number of foreigners from countries throughout Southeast Asia have moved to the city. Nevertheless, this has increased the asset distribution gap between the rich and poor and contributed to the social and ethnic splintering of the population. The problem is best illustrated by the concentration of relatively wealthy long-time residents in the city's northern zones versus the relatively poor, mainly immigrant population centered in the city's newly reclaimed southern regions. Oh, okay, this is just Kobe. The trend was spurred by the catastrophe, which created vast waves of new immigrants who developed this underground society, effectively splitting the city into two distinct groups of cultures, that of the north and the south. Fremen. Individuals who have erased all records of their own existence from public and private databases live without fixed residences, also known as Fremen. Not to be confused with homeless who have been forced into their condition by economic misfortune. In modern information-controlled society, the lack of computer records on any given individual is tantamount to that of the individual's non-existence. The recent increase in their numbers have begun to contribute to crime and labor difficulties in the city. Many of the individuals who chose this lifestyle are former workers in computer-related and data management industries. Yeah. Their presence underscores some of the major shortcomings of the society's current dependence on centralized data control and management. Most of these individuals live in regions of the city which are not municipal data administration districts, or in the old tunnels of the abandoned tube linear system. Interesting. Immigrant problem. The catastrophe created vast quantities of Eurasian refugees who spread throughout the world, creating a massive global immigrant problem. Chinese formed the largest subgroup, and over 2 million have found their way to Japan in at least 5 waves. Neo-Kobe, touting its status as an immigrant's paradise, at the time, the logical government choice as the area for them to resettle. As a result, the Chinese percentage of the population grew to become second only to Japanese, but the majority of these individuals ended up living in the slum districts of the city's southern regions. Dissatisfied with these conditions and the perceived lack of any government effort to rectify them, they have formed their own underground society, which now favor too large an organization for the legitimate government to control. And finally, the outer districts. Neo-Kobe can divide it into 2 district areas. Those regions where satellite and fiber optic cables are used to manage all forms of data, the so-called municipal data administration districts, and the mainly slum regions which are not under such control and oversight. Individuals who cannot get personal guarantee or identification invariably concentrate in the latter regions, such as the lack of such ID prevents social functioning in the controlled regions of the city. No forms of cards or credit are accepted in these areas. Cash is the only currency. While the government proposes to remedy the situation have been discussed for a number of years, debate over implementation methods, civil rights, and the like have prevented any actual progress from being made. Approximately 30% of the city's total area is officially recognized as falling outside the Municipal Data Administration's district, and at least another 10% is believed to be stimulated beyond governmental control, though not yet designated as such. Okay. I hope I was able to be of service. I look forward to our next session together. So, that was about 2 videos lengths worth of information. I'm gonna take a long drink of water. Have a good one.